Oh my god! Pax Silica is here! Ah! That's what I would say if I was a stupid warmongerer, but I'm not.
But what does this actually mean for the Philippines?
Good question, scriptwriter me. Thank you, me. What am I doing with my fucking life? Quick, catch this.
Nice shot!
What you're holding right now is AI. Cute? Wrong. It will suck water and suck all your electricity and drain all of your creativity. That ends the why people hate the AI explanation. I'm not gonna drag it out like some people. But in short, this basically means it's not only bad for us, but for nature, for ourselves, our wallets, my income, my job. We get it, but it just means the shit costs will go through the roof. I mean, it already is happening because of the Strait of Hormuz.
Shh, scriptwriter Macker. That is the point of the video today.
Pax Silica, Pax Silica isn't entirely bad. Of course it's bad, but it isn't entirely. Are you following? No, great, keep watching. Quickly, here are 4 reasons as to why it is bad, but a little bit of context first. Pax Silica is a treaty.
Hey there, this is actually Editor Magger. Pax Silica is actually an initiative led by America to basically combat against China. It's a non-binding declaration of intent. So it's basically just a US-led economic security alliance or tech coalition
made to combat against China because it controls 90% of the world's rare earth materials. Those rare earth materials are used to your phone, your battery, basically anything that needs. It was a significant reason for it to be made. It was made to secure the silicon supply chain, quote unquote, there. And there were originally 9 members: the United States, Japan, South Korea, Singapore, United Kingdom, Israel, United Arab Emirates, and Australia.
with Finland, Sweden, Qatar, and India joining later as of 2026. Each meant to bring something to the table, but what does this mean for the Philippines?
Good point. What does... For one, it creates an economic investment towards the Philippines. 2, it creates more jobs. And 3, it creates a financial security for the nation, making the Philippines seem more of a very enticing investment.
But I thought you said it was I'm getting to it!
There was supposed to be more, but I kind of just gave up because we all know AI bad, blah, blah, blah. Bullshit. The thing happened like a month ago. I'm not gonna do that again. But I still doubt the AI bubble will pop. Just please do. I want more RAM. It doesn't necessarily mean that Pax Silica would be a good thing entirely and or bad thing for the nation, as I said. Although it primarily is basically just the US abusing the
Now, to further explain what I meant by Pax Silica being bad for the nation is 3 key things that I like to call the teach, the lesson, the student. I try to sound smart, but it just sounds so stupid.
Basically, the Philippines has a history of investments from foreign nations where we just accept the money and don't force companies to teach us what to do. Another example of this is Vietnam, or rather just a comparison.
Gromit? Did that tree just speak Vietnamese?
Vietnam is a state-driven industry basically means most industries are state-funded and aggressive tax breaks to court massive conglomerates. This just basically means that companies would be more enticed to invest into Vietnam because of tax breaks and easier accessible state-funded industry. Additionally, there's a thing called technology transfers, where joint ventures and conditional access would force companies to train local workers and gradually transfer technical knowledge to domestic suppliers. Now that's what I call actual capitalism, not what the hell you're doing, America. This essentially not only makes the situation a win-win for both the company and the country, but also for the people, because you get 1, a job, 2, skills, 3, a fallback zone made by the nation. Now let's look back onto what the Philippines provides. Tax-free havens with no need for technology transfers? Well, sign me the fuck up. In all honesty, the Philippines is not the only nation like this, but it still is a reason as to why we are so behind compared to our peers, as we constantly try to undermine our own population in favor of the rich few. And that leads me to my next point, the left. I'm going to be honest, when I was writing the script, I genuinely had no idea what I was on about with the teach, the lesson, the student. It just sounded so core. The lesson here is that the Philippines is notoriously over-reliant on BPOs, or in other words, service and consumption models, rather than export-oriented manufacturing. That's why the Philippines is in a shitty position, especially after the AI boom, which only makes it worse with how they plan to make AI servers in the fucking nation with being, of course, Pax Silica. BPOs and service and consumption models aren't meant to be done long-term. It was meant to be a short backup so that the Philippines would, by would, I mean should, shift to an export economy by then, but just didn't for whatever reason. Corruption. But with that information, What do you think the government learned when a study was done on this by the International Monetary Fund? Is it A, they took it into consideration and thought of a process on how to avoid it, or B, they just ignored it? It's actually A. Did they try to especially help with Project Unlad, the uplifting National Labor Advanced Digital Upscaling that is 740 million pesos, by the way, run by both TESDA and the Department of Information and Communication Technology, but it's not about how to shift the nation to a market economy. It just decided to embrace AI and further develop the BPO industry. Yes, they embrace. I'm not going to emphasize any further, but you get the point. The country is trying, but it's also doing it inefficiently and delaying both the inevitable. Which takes me to the next point. What does this mean for us? It just means we're a massive fucking but bear with me. Listen to my fucking rant. But in all honesty, it just means that water will just disappear as usual, as AI data centers do. But may I remind you of the constant water cutouts by Maynilad, but also especially when it's connected to electricity grid, the very electricity grid that's struggling. May I remind you that AI data centers are notoriously hungry for electricity, and may I remind you that Meralco is having struggles sustaining the existing. But in all fairness, I'm not sure how they plan to make that power grid work, but I do hope that we aren't the ones first up to pay, like in the US.
Oh my God.
I mean, sure, it not only highlights the Philippines' failure at building a manufacturing base comparable to that of its neighbors, and especially where Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam are getting better. Look at this. I did a short research, and it turns out that in both Indonesia and Vietnam, both nations that have almost by the way, same Australian issues as the Philippines, has cheaper average cost per kilowatt. For the Philippines, is 0.21 and to $0.24. But in Indonesia and Vietnam, respectively, it's 0.09 to $0.10. That's an entire 2% increase. I know that both Indonesia and Vietnam produce oil, but like they're also like backed by the government. Like some costs are frozen from what I researched, and like oil no, electricity costs there are like paid by some parts of the government. Like, why can't we do that? Like, oh my god, you get the point. The failure of the Philippines to even decide to do a tech exchange or even aid the nation's failing power grid helped the Filipinos continue to they just continue to bicker in politics. Would only continue to fail us as usual, and then the government just decided to sell us out.
Oh yeah, Editor Magger back here. May I remind you that this stupid Pax Silica project is 4,000 acres. 4,000 acres. 4,000! Pax Silica is just a very bad. But it does not only highlight our failures to actually create a proper industrial base, it also highlights how willing we are to sell ourselves out. Pax Silica, as of now, the Finance Secretary is yet to discuss what commitments exist for domestic refining, manufacturing, workforce development, environmental safeguards, revenue sharing, tax, the list goes on. But to get to the main point, it's very important for us, the consumers, or the people, to understand what Pax Silica truly is and what it means. I'm all fine and dandy for an investment, but if it doesn't benefit the people in any way, and only the existing rich people, oh my god, I can't even read rich people, and color me red because I'm gonna be mad. I mean, not like communist mad, but you get the point. I'm not a communist, by the way. I do hope that the Philippines will be able to both secure the deal for the benefit of the people and not the rich. But again, knowing the nation and its whole issue, I'm starting to get doubtful. Hey, I originally planned this video to be real short, but I started to go on a rant about the lack of foreplanning the station has. But anyways, if you like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you want more, just click here. Thank you again for watching.